Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the CBT podcast. I'm here with Ethan. I'm here with Rod, and today we're going to be talking about the contract that Deandre Ayton just signed with the Phoenix Suns, which was a 4-year, $133 million offer sheet. They matched the Pacers offer, and it was the biggest offer sheet in NBA history. So that's about $33 million a year for Deandre Ayton. How do you guys feel about that number?
Yeah, I think first of all it was deserved, which I think may be in the minority opinion there. So I think it was a good move by the Suns to bring him back. Obviously, their starting center. Unlucky for the Pacers, considering how they had to cut like two or three people just to make this work, and they didn't even get them. But I think the most important ripple effect from this move is that the Suns now cannot use DeAndre Ayton for the foreseeable future in any sort of Kevin Durant trade. And seeing how I thought the Suns had the best package for Kevin Durant centered around DeAndre Ayton, this does a big oopsie for the Kevin Durant sweepstakes.
Like, I definitely agree with you. I think that it was a good move on the Suns' part of their off season, which I also think that they were forced into it in a way. I think they tried to look for other options, but there wasn't out there like anything out there that really moved their hearts in a way. So they kind of figured the best thing to do is kind of just keep DeAndre in. But I also do agree with the majority of people, which say that it was a bad move because if you see he was the number one overall pick, yet he's not really producing what you'd expect from a number one overall pick. Like you were expecting some type of superstar, which I think the arrival of Chris Paul and then also Devin Booker there has kind of shadowed him in a way. I I don't know. I feel like it's just there's two sides to it that I can see both.
So first of all, you guys said that this takes Phoenix out of the running for the Kevin Durant sweepstakes, which is partially true for now. However, I think the momentum is building that Kevin Durant will still be on the Brooklyn Nets come opening night. An opinion I did not used to have, but now I believe it post Ayton signing. And the Suns can trade Ayton once January 15th hits. So what I think may happen is if Kevin Durant still feels he wants to be traded come the trade deadline of this next season, then the Suns could still make a move for him because Ayton would be eligible to be traded and they don't lose their main selling point of their package. So that's all I have to say about that. But in regards to Chris Paul, the year before Chris Paul arrived in Phoenix, Ayton averaged 18 points, 12 rebounds, a block and a half a game, 15 field goal attempts a game, and 55% shooting. That was as a sophomore. So it looked like he was on the track to become that superstar that you were saying he should be, Ethan. But once Chris Paul arrived, his numbers dropped to 16 points, 10 rebounds, only one block a game, and down 4 field goal attempts a game. However, his field goal percentage did go up 8% to 63. So personally, I feel like Ayton doesn't have a big enough role in Phoenix's offense, and that's part of the reason why he wanted to leave. So with this large contract that they threw at him, I just hope that he gets that bigger role that I feel like he deserves.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you said. Also, I kind of called the Kevin Durant staying in Brooklyn thing. I saw right through that from the very beginning. I was right. But to piggyback off what you just said, I definitely agree that DeAndre Ayton's development in Phoenix was basically put on halt the moment Chris Paul arrived because how many times in NBA history have we seen a number one overall pick 2 years into their career be asked to, okay, we're trying to compete for a championship now. You got to forget all this thing about trying to shoot threes and be a high post scorer. You got to be a run and dunk center catching lobs from Chris Paul. And DeAndre Ayton didn't complain. He filled his role. They made an NBA Finals. They were primed to make another deep run, but they lost in 7 to a very good Mavericks team. So I think from the Suns' perspective, this was really the biggest mistake in the James Jones era so far because they could have fixed the DeAndre Ayton contract problem over a year ago. They chose not to extend him, like you said, to avoid that 5th year. They still got him back, but I mean, at what cost? Will the DeAndre Ayton Suns relationship never be mended because of this? I don't think so. I mean, he was this close from being an Indiana Pacer, all because the Suns didn't think he was worth that much. But you still had to pay him, what, $33 million anyways? And I don't think it's worth the damage, the inevitable damage, the relationship.
Yeah, no
I
doubt. I agree. I feel like it was almost a scummy move by the Suns to
Yeah.
to not extend him, like you said. And they avoided the 5th year, sure, but I don't think that relationship's going to get repaired anytime soon. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Ayton try to force his way out in the next year or two because he's already tried to do it once with Indiana. I mean, if you're begging to go to Indiana instead of the Phoenix Suns, you're really unhappy with your current situation. So that is without a doubt something to watch over the coming seasons.
No, it's just I also think that what the Suns maybe were thinking, the ownership, was that once Chris Paul retires, they can kind of hand the keys back to Devin Booker and then also include DeAndre Ayton in a much bigger role. So maybe that's what they were banking on. They kind of saw a little bit of a decline in Chris Paul and especially how he performed in the postseason. Maybe they're thinking that his days are numbered, his years are numbered, and they'd much rather keep DeAndre Ayton and continue to work towards that star center that they originally drafted alongside Devin Booker. So that was just my thinking. Maybe that's why they could have possibly kept him if he doesn't force his way out of Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, it was already reported that they were looking for any sort of sign and trade opportunities. I think if it was available, they would have took Miles Turner and some draft capital in a second for DeAndre Ayton, but that wasn't available, so they just had to match the offer sheet. But I do think there is a road where both sides can come to terms and they can work towards trying to win more championship, win a championship in the future. Because I do think Chris Paul and Devin Booker should take a bit of a reduced role. I think it would help the team overall, help their durability and longevity to have DeAndre Ayton take 2 or 3 more post ups a game, give him some more opportunities to create his own shot in the regular season because that helps both parties. It gives DeAndre Ayton what he wants in trying to improve his game and be an all-star and be respected as a #1 overall pick. And it takes a lot of the pressure off an aging Chris Paul and a superstar Devin Booker.
Yeah, a lot of people have questioned whether or not this was an overpay for DeAndre Ayton, as we have talked about a little bit in this episode. But something that I think people were quick to forget after last year's playoff collapse, people kind of, I feel like they've written the Suns off. The Suns won 62,
Yeah.
62, was it? 62 games with this roster last year, and they were able to keep that together in this offseason, which is really important. So by no means is this a bad move for the Suns because realistically, they're still contenders. They could very well come out the West, and maybe Chris Paul could get that elusive ring that he's been chasing his whole career. And DeAndre Ayton will be a big part of that if it does end up happening. So, in my opinion, this was a good move by the Suns. Whether they took the scummy way out or not, they still retain their star center.
I don't think I agree with you. I think the Suns window has closed. Me personally. That's a topic for another day. Could possibly do that in another episode, but I think that their championship window has officially closed now that the Clippers are about to be real healthy and with the John Wall, with the Warriors basically becoming a dynasty or being that dynasty that we know. And and the Lakers, if they can get it together, I think the Lakers, if they could somehow get it together, I like them a little bit more than
And let's
Phoenix.
be real,
And Luca.
even if
Luca
the
down
Suns
there with no, don't. Because Luca, I am personally a Luca hater because of you. You, Mr. JJ. I do not like Luca. But alongside Christian Wood, I think that could definitely be productive.
Yeah, even if the Suns do end up making the finals, there's no way they're going to beat the Eastern Conference champion Boston Celtics. But
Oh, for sure.
just to talk about Luca real quick, he is going to be a top 15 player all time, just so everyone knows my opinions. Luca is one of the best players in the NBA. But Rod, any final thoughts about the Suns?
I think at the bare minimum, they're a 55+ win team, and I'd bet money they're still a top 2 seed in the West.
Do you think they have a real shot of making the finals? Do you think they could beat the strong teams at the top of the West?
If their chemistry isn't damaged and we see improvement from guys like Mikal Bridges and DeAndre Ayton, then definitely.
Okay, Ethan, final thoughts about the Suns?
Like I said, I mean, definitely smart move keeping Ayton just because there wasn't really much out there, especially this late in the game for free agency. But other than that, like I said, there's teams better than them. Their championship window has closed.
Yeah, I think they definitely still have their window is open, no doubt. It's just not very likely that they'll make it. The West has too many teams that are so good. As we said, the Clippers are the team that really concerns me because we have no idea what they're capable of. And I just don't think the Suns have anyone that could match up well to that Clippers team. But I think that's going to do it for us in today's video. I'm going to ask that you please drop a like, subscribe, leave a comment. How well do you think the Suns are going to do? Was the Deandre Ayton contract good? Has their championship window closed? Should they trade Ayton for Wembanyama at the draft next year? Thank you all for watching, and we will see you in next episode.